Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. I have not recorded in quite some time, and that is because things have changed in the month of February from what I was accustomed to and what I had planned for the year 2025. So if you have been around for a little bit, I think I've mentioned in past videos potentially that I telework. I work from home. I have worked from home 100% of my time since 2020. And if you saw the end of January when President Trump signed all his executive orders, one of those were federal workers must return back to the office. No more teleworking. So I knew that was coming. I knew things were going to change. But the thing I was not anticipating is I was notified on February the 3rd that telework has ended officially, and I had to be at work starting February the 10th on site, which gave me 1 week to figure out what to do and go back into a pre-COVID schedule. And it has definitely taken some getting used to. So in this video, it originally was going to be a weekly vlog of me kind of talking through every day, doing check-ins of how many pages I'm able to read and how many books I'm able to read, going from full-time telework to full-time on-site work. And I did check-ins. I did some B-roll of me reading, but it was not, going on site is exhausting. Working around a bunch of people with a lot of noise, a lot of chaos, a lot of stuff happening that I'm just not used to, kind of shocked my system to the point where there were a few days I came home and passed out, or I went to bed extremely early because I was just physically exhausted. So weekly vlogs didn't really pan out, but I still wanted to do this video because I thought it would be interesting to find out how many pages I can read when I am working full-time on site compared to this time last year when I was doing 100% telework, what I did at that point and what my average pages read per day for a full week were from telework versus on-site. So I thought this would be interesting to see kind of how my reading would change given that I am no longer at home in a very quiet, stable, relaxing environment versus on-site with a commute, with traffic, with people around me all the time, talking all the time, just normal hustle and bustle that you have in an office when you're on-site. So what I ended up doing is I did go into Storygraph, and I'll put a little picture on the screen now. I went to Storygraph February, around the same week in February of 2024, and I looked to see how many pages I read every day during that time frame. And on average, I read 151 pages per day for a full 7 days. And I wanted to test and see what I could do for this week. And so I will put up on the screen what my results were. On Monday, first day back at work, this was the day that I think my body had the most reaction, and you can clearly see for Monday, I only read 48 pages. And that was because that was the day I came home, I had to decompress for a while, and then I went to bed at I think 9:30. I am someone who stays awake until midnight, 1 a.m. and I roll up at 6 a.m. ready to go to work again. So I can function on like 5 hours of sleep easy. That's my average. But on Monday, because of traffic, everyone talking, and just the amount of stuff that was around me at my desk, I was frazzled when I came home, and I ended up going to sleep extremely early on Monday, so I only read 48 pages. And honestly, I think that was to be expected. On Tuesday, I ended up reading 153 pages, which is actually 2 pages more than the average this time last year. So I was able to hit my average goal, and I think on Tuesday, obviously I was kind of figuring things out a little bit better. My body didn't go into immediate shock for working on site. And I will go ahead and caveat, I know people work on site. I know people have been working in the office forever. They've never been teleworking. I understand that. I just know me as a person, I like calm, I like peace, I like quiet, and so teleworking was 100% something that I was very much looking forward to and really enjoyed. And I know I can get back to having no reaction and dealing with being on site. It's just I had 1 week to get accustomed to a major change in my life. So I understand people work from home, I understand people work from an office, and to me it's a shock to my system. So I'm just gonna put that out there. So Tuesday, read 153 pages. On Wednesday, I read 248 pages. Now, the reason why this was so high was the books that I was reading, it was getting to the point they were really getting good, and it made me want to read more. So I believe on Wednesday I ended up finishing a book, and that's why it was so high, because I wanted to continue reading until I got done with it. So that was why I was 248 pages. But it was also Wednesday, and I was getting, it was like the height. I've already been to work for 3 days now. I've kind of gotten used to it. Then we have on Thursday, I read 138 pages, so it's a little bit less than my average, but it was still really good. Still a very good amount of reading, being only able to read for like a couple of hours for that day. Then on Friday, I read 105 pages. Saturday, I read 192 pages. And then on Sunday, I read 79 pages, which was a total of 963 pages, which was about 95 pages less than this time last year. And so I am honestly pleasantly surprised by how many pages I was able to read for this last week. And let's really quickly talk about the books that I ended up reading during this week as well. And because I think that really helps me when I have a good book or a book that I'm interested in reading, I tend to want to read much more versus a book that I'm not really interested in. Then obviously it takes me a long time getting into a book and actually wanting to read it. So during this week, I read and finished 3 books. The first book that I ended up reading and finishing was Pen Pal by J.T. Gessinger. I've never read anything by this author before, and I went in blind with this book, and I feel like that's definitely the way to go. I know for a fact that this is going to be a book that I want to do a reread on, because now that I know what's going on, I'm really interested to do another reread and see if my score or my ranking will change now that I know a little bit more about what's going to happen. So I did finish Pen Pal. I also started and finished The Perfect Fit by Sadie Kincaid. I have never read anything by this author, and this was a Why Choose Billionaire romance. It's about a FMC who ends up having a live-in. She moves in with 3 billionaires, and they want someone that they can share all together, and they never found someone who fit into their style of life, and the FMC decides to give it a go. And so it was a Why Choose. I did enjoy this one. I did feel like this one had, through about 75% of the book, there really was no plot. It was essentially a Why Choose, which is still, I mean, it's not to say it's a bad thing. It was a very good time reading the book. It was very spicy, but there was literally no plot until the last quarter of the book, and then things started to pick up. So it was really good. I did enjoy it. It wasn't a high-ranking book for me, but it was a good book, and I would actually enjoy reading some more books by the same author. And then the last book that I read was Hooked by Emily McIntyre. This was again another author that I had never read before. I have this book also on my bookshelf. I got it physically, and this was another really good read. It was not a fantasy book. It was not a retelling of Peter Pan. It was like a reimagining of the characters from Peter Pan. So you have Hook, you have Wendy, you have Peter, you have Smee, you have the Lost Boys, you have all of this kind of stuff, but it's in a completely different story. And there's little sprinkles of things that are very similar to Peter Pan, such as Hook has a yacht, so he's captain of his ship. Smee is the person who lives on his yacht and kind of takes care of his yacht while he's not there. You have the Lost Boys, you have Wendy and Peter, and so you do have all of those main characters, but the story is completely different, and I really did enjoy it. I am interested in reading some more of her stories, because I know she has The Lion King, I know she has like a Little Mermaid, I believe. She has Aladdin, so she has a bunch of other types of stories, very similar, like same concept of this, and I would be interested to see how she takes those stories and creates a new storyline and like how the characters would be in a completely different setting. So it was really good. I really did enjoy that, and I'm looking forward to reading more of her books, just to get a different aspect of some of these characters that I grew up with watching on, Disney movies and things. So really did enjoy it, and those were the 3 books that I read during this week while I was back at a full-time on-site position. And now for the question of the video. So if you would not mind, I would greatly appreciate if you can go down to the comment section and go ahead and put a comment down to answer this question, because I love having communication with you guys and I would be really interested to talk to you guys. So the question is, if you work full-time at a office, a business, somewhere outside of your home, do you schedule time to do reading when you get home? This might be another video coming soon, but I am going to go ahead and give myself a few weeks to figure out a good schedule and see what I can do to try to allot time or do things to my schedule that will allow me to read, because I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to read as much as I used to. And so I would like to kind of figure out what I need to do to help myself get back into a good schedule for reading now that I'm on site. So I would be interested to know, if you have to physically go out and work for a 40-hour work week, do you schedule time or do you do something to allocate a certain amount of time for reading? I would be interested. Make sure you go down to my comments and leave me your answer to that question, because I would be really interested to hear what you have to say. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not already. I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see everybody in my next video. Bye!